So this Pope plot against the president is getting, finally, what I actually broke first days ago. Now everyone's starting to pick up on because everything is quite so obvious right in front of our faces, and that is this David Axelrod Obama DNC Pope plot against our favorite president Donald Trump. And if you look at the title of my main stream today, which will be the video, which will be the show after this, the live show this morning where I'll be taking live calls, looks like David Axelrod and Obama, but certainly Axelrod, have quite possibly violated, or not possibly, they have violated the Hatch Act. The Vatican is a city state. It is its own nation, right? It's an independent nation. And the Pope is the leader of that nation. And David Axelrod met with the head of state, the Pope, and hatched this whole plot, which is playing out all over the place. That is a Hatch Act violation. This is CBS News talking about the meeting. Pope Leo on Thursday, this is last week, a week ago today, right? Listen to this. Pope Leo, let's see here. Pope Leo on Thursday met with David Axelrod, a longtime Democratic strategist and former senior advisor to Obama. The meeting has many wondering if the Pope might soon have a formal meeting with Obama himself. While the Vatican did not provide any details on Axelrod's meeting with the Pope on Thursday, 6 weeks ago, Obama made it clear he'd like to meet his hometown Pope. Chicago's his hometown? I thought Hawaii was his hometown. Right? Now it's Chicago. Axelrod hasn't shared any details of his meeting, blah, blah, blah. Obama's not Catholic. Axelrod's not Catholic. David Axelrod's Jewish. So Axelrod has the meeting, and next thing you know, we've got all these attacks on the president. So did Axelrod violate the Hatch Act? And, that's a felony. Go to prison for violating the Hatch Act. And, Axelrod, he's a very smart guy. Look at what he's put in motion. They've got this whole media narrative against Trump. They've got Maloney and Italy breaking with Trump. Look at the international as well as the domestic problems that this has caused after Axelrod met with the Pope. Of course, Axelrod is behind this. Of course, Obama is behind this. This furthers the meddling of Obama. Obama and his people are terrified that some of them are going to get arrested and go to prison for the spy operation against President Trump, the coup in his first term. And things are coming very public now. We got a new attorney general, an acting attorney general in place. And a lot of these people are terrified because, we know what they did, but they know everything they did, right? So think about all the things they did against President Trump that we don't know about. We just know the outer borders, just the little tiny things they did. They know everything they did. And believe me, Axelrod was a part of that plot too. So these people are afraid of going to prison with the Trump Justice Department. So this is a major act of desperation, this Hatch Act violation. And it's also a continuation of the endless coup against President Trump. So what I'll be asking you all on today's main program, taking live calls, did Axelrod and Obama, have they violated the Hatch Act? Have they violated the Hatch Act? What do you guys think? Yes or no on that? Do you think they violated the Hatch Act? Donnie, what about Marie? Is she invited too, Robo? Or is it just Donnie Osmond? Yeah, probably. I mean, what? Let me see. What's the penalty? Let me look this up. What's the penalty for the Hatch Act? Let's see here. Oh, you can go to prison for it. Criminal. There is, if other laws are broken. There you go. Yeah, they've broken a lot of laws. This is a continuation of the treason and coup against President Trump. And this is RICO. This is part of that same crime that was committed when they had that meeting in Obama's final days as president to continue spying on President Trump after President Trump took the oath of office. This is a ongoing criminal operation. Why does Trump have to go? For making America great again, freeing us from the tyranny of these the permanent Washington class? Why does he have to go? Mhm. All the anti-Christian atheists are concerned about blasphemy now. Hmm. Yeah, they didn't care what Catholics, thought when they're promoting their abortion. Welcome, everyone. If you are new, make sure you subscribe. Okay, guys, this is where MAGA comes to talk. So Megyn Kelly, since she got called out by the president a week ago today, she's just freaking out. Listen to this.
I don't know what he's doing, but the president is spiraling downward in his poll numbers. He is on a downward spiral now.
But that's total BS. First of all, he had 100% approval just 2 weeks ago for the MAGA movement. 95% of MAGA supported his actions in Iran. Over 80% of Republicans overall support his actions in Iran. He has over 80% support among all Republicans. So she's just making stuff up.
I don't know what he's doing, but the president is spiraling downward in his poll numbers. He is on a downward spiral now. We'll talk about in a minute what's happening with the white working class. That's Trump's base.
What does Megyn Kelly know about the white working class? She's talking like a liberal on CNN and MSNBC. This is how they talk. The white working class, the white college educated, high school graduates. They put people in these little categories. But what does Megyn Kelly know about the white working class?
And he's now underwater with them. We saw one poll about 7 to 10 days ago showing it, and now there's another. There's no question. He's collapsed now with the white working class. My friends, that's it. Other than Fox News boomers, there's no one left. There's no one left in the original MAGA coalition. White working class? I really look for...
No, Jim Jones did not have 100%. In fact, a bunch of his people were trying to leave. That's why he had them drink the Kool-Aid, right?
Forward to the people who purport to speak for the white working class, people who have written whole books about the working class and what's important to them, people who have been ripping on the so-called podcast class for being critical of this war and how they're completely irrelevant and no one listens to them.
See, that's what it's all about. See, that's when Trump said that no one listens to her and Tucker and Alex Jones. She just can't take that they're influencers without influence.
Who purport to speak for the white working class, people who have written whole books about the working class and what's important to them, people who have been ripping on the so-called podcast class for being critical of this war and how they're completely irrelevant and no one listens to them. I really look forward to those people updating their reporting to tell us what's actually happening among the Trump base now. Because they want him to focus on the economy, on inflation, not on Iran. That's what they want. They don't give two shits about the Strait of Hormuz, about Karg Island, about blockades in the Middle East. They care about their pocketbooks and being able to pay their mortgages and their grocery bills and their car payment without getting that sickening feeling in their stomach. They don't have unlimited funds.
Oh, my goodness. Now, this one here, I'm going to play that I can't play the whole thing because she uses the S word on the radio this morning. But this one, did you see what Chent Younger said about his grandparents on the Young Turks? This is crazy. I want to play this. This is our Young Turk.
Did you guys?
Okay, and he's got the whole crew in this one. He's got, I think Anna Kasparian's in here. He's got the guy from the movie, the old movies, whatever his name is, Malkovich. He's in here, and of course, Chint Younger, Hassan Piker, his nephew's all over the news, right? He's like the face of the Democrat Party. Listen to what Chint Younger, the Young Turks, reveals towards the end of this clip.
Did you guys know that 10% of those married in the world are married to their first cousin?
Okay, that's Anna Kasparian. She just said, did you know that 10% of the people in the world are married to their first cousins?
Did you guys know that 10% of those married in the world are married to their first cousin?
Isn't that amazing?
10% of those married are married to their first
One
cousin.
in 10 married couples are married to their first cousin.
In the world, yeah. So in the United States, it's frowned upon, right? But I do want to say it has been recent scientific evidence indicating that the likelihood of a child being born with certain disabilities because of incest is much smaller than we thought.
By the way, you think you don't know anyone who, in America, you were joking around that 1 in 10, etc. My grandparents are first cousins.
Really?
Yeah.
He said his grandparents are first cousins. Whoa. Wow. Chint Younger, his grandparents are first cousins. To me, first cousins, that's like a brother or a sister, isn't it? In your family, my first cousins are like brothers and sisters. And, other cousins too, second and third, but, second and third, because like my mom's cousins are my first cousins or my second cousin, you know how it goes. My second cousins are like aunts and uncles. First cousins are like brothers and sisters. That's pretty sick, isn't it? That is really sick. That's Chint Younger, grandparents, first cousins. First off, I would not. Is that common in the Muslim? I don't know. I would not. If I were him, I wouldn't be bragging about that. Would you? I would not be bragging about that if I were him. That's pretty sick, isn't it? I've always thought of my cousins as like brothers and sisters. Haven't you? I mean, that's crazy. It's pretty sick. Pretty sick. Where do first cousins marry and it's acceptable? Is it even legal? I know it's not. I know it's illegal in some states. I don't know if it's illegal in all, but even if it's not illegal, it's immoral. It's gross. Yeah, it's gross. It's gross. Yeah. Yeah. It sounds medieval. Yes, exactly. Or you're stranded on an island. The first people. I don't know anyone married to a first cousin. Do any of you know anyone married to a first cousin? No. No way. I don't know. I'd have to hear some people call me and tell me that they're married to their first cousins. That's pretty bad. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Did you guys know that 10% of those married in the world are married to their first cousin?
Again, this is Chint Younger.
Isn't
that amazing?
10% of those married are married to their first cousin.
1 in 10 married couples are married to their first cousin.
In the world, yeah. So in the United States, it's frowned upon, right? But I do want to say it has been recent scientific evidence indicating that the likelihood of a child being born with certain disabilities because of incest is much smaller than we thought.
By the way, you think you don't know anyone who, in America, you were joking around that 1 in 10, etc. My grandparents are first cousins.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You would think that would be something that you would not be bragging about, wouldn't you? Yeah, that's not the kind of. I know that's pretty gross. That is pretty gross. Mm-hmm. No, it's pretty bad.
Media.
Yeah. Here's a guy on X talking about the genius of Trump.
I'm starting to realize that Trump's greatest genius is just pissing the media off. Like, I swear, the crazier he goes on Twitter, the more he's doing behind the scenes. Like, right now, maybe you've heard that the Strait of Hormuz is being blockaded by us now, but have you heard about our deals with Indonesia? Have you heard about the rerouting of oil lanes to the Gulf of America? Have you heard about all these things and these deals he's making behind the scenes? You've probably heard of none of it. And quite frankly, I have to go searching for some of this stuff just to hear whispers of it, because the mainstream media is like a total blackout. It's like he just throws chum in the water and they're like sharks that can't help themselves. Like, he goes crazy on Twitter and they just attack his Twitter posts and they just go nuts and they can't help themselves. And behind the scenes, he's getting all these deals done. And I think that's exactly what he wants. He wants them to be focused on whatever ridiculous crap he's putting on Twitter and not on the deals he's making, because he knows if the media was focused on his deals, then it would be so much harder to get them done. And this is really the genius of Trump and his art of the deal, if you will. That was his book, is because he realizes that you sort of have to distract the sharks and all the noisemakers, and then you can actually get business done. And he does that better than anyone.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what that guy says, no doubt. You guys agree? I mean, yeah. He's most definitely getting a lot done. Here's Stephen Miller talking about the Iran blockade.
This embargo is squeezing the economic life out of the Iranian regime, and the United States has the capacity to continue this indefinitely if Iran chooses the wrong path. President Trump knows something else. He knows that American oil is the most important currency in the world, and that is why when he came into office, he unleashed American energy as never before, and that's why you see all of these ships coming to America empty and leaving laden with American energy. Do you agree with this embargo?
Exactly. That's exactly right. President Trump's always right. Hey, Sakwa. My daughter's cat just jumped up here. Oh, David Hall got his clock cleaned, didn't he? This is David Hogg on CNN with Scott Jennings.
Anybody with an elementary school understanding of foreign policy could have told you the Strait of Hormuz was going to get shut down, and that is exactly
and who controls it right now? Who controls the
why are gas prices so high then?
Why were they high during Biden's administration? Did you like that?
It wasn't because of a because of a geopolitical.
Here's the deal.
Fumble.
Who controls the Strait? You're using last week's talking points, David. We control the Strait. We are in charge of this conflict right now.
Exactly. We've conquered the Strait of Hormuz. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, David Hogg. Now this is I'm still doing some show prep, going through some things. This is Tulsi Gabbard on News Nation talking about the coup against President Trump, of which this whole Pope thing's a part of. But this is the impeachment coup.
Documents that we released really pointed to the fact that the 2019 impeachment occurred because there were members of the intelligence community working directly with House Democrats, specifically Adam Schiff, who's in the House Intelligence Committee at the time, concocting this narrative, weaponizing the whistleblower process.
Yep.
Lying and abusing their power, all to create this manufactured basis that Nancy Pelosi then used to drive this impeachment against Donald Trump in 2019. I'll hit the high points on these documents. There are details and hundreds of pages of transcripts that we released in conjunction with House Intel Chairman Rick Crawford. But the bottom line is this. Number one, the whistleblower, so-called whistleblower who came forward, presented no evidence and no firsthand knowledge. This is a person who had heard about a conversation that President Trump had with Zelensky, then went straight to Adam Schiff on the House Intelligence Committee.
See, they told us. See, we're getting a whole different narrative now about how the complaint went. So, a whole new way of looking at that impeachment. We all thought it was Vindman listening on the phone call. You know, I just saw this article too in Al Jazeera. Here's the headline. This is Al Jazeera. The Pope has shown the world how to stand up to Trump. All right. I mean, that's The Muslims love the Pope. The liberals, the atheists, the Muslims, the Democrats, they love the Pope. This is Al Jazeera. The Pope has shown the world how to stand up to Trump. Far too many world leaders have chosen to mollify the bullying U.S. president. Pope Leo has shown there's another way. Oh, my goodness. Hey, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. That's what they're doing. You know, now this one here, I don't really pay too much attention to actors, but there's, Elizabeth Banks, who, she's in the Hunger. I know her from the Hunger Games. I like the Hunger Game movies. But Elizabeth Banks, right? This is in Variety. Elizabeth Banks says, I don't understand the 53% of white ladies who voted for Trump, and more of us should be like Effie from the Hunger Games, become revolutionaries and oppose fascism. You know, there's a lot of reasons why we don't support illegal immigration, right? The murders, the rapes, the drugs, the draining of our public system, like the Somali pirates, in the legal, the whole story. But they also take a lot of jobs. Elizabeth Banks, if I went on the set of any movie she was in, including the Hunger Games, how many illegal aliens are working on movie sets that Elizabeth Banks works on? Think any illegal aliens worked on the Hunger Games? Hell no. You've got to be a card-carrying, documented union member to work on any set of any of these movies. And it's so, Elizabeth Banks and these people in Hollywood, they view the illegals as a slave class to be their nannies and mow their lawns and clean their houses. Because of their union restrictions, they're not taking their jobs. Now, here's something that I had not been able to, this is weird, that Candace Owens thinks that Erica Kirk is a robot, a hybrid human robot, like an android. What is she saying here?
AmFest is when we realized that something very disturbing is happening in America. I think that we are fighting machines. I think that these people are not humans, that they're sentinels that maybe look like humans. They don't know how to behave like humans. Are you just surrounded by robots? Are you a hybrid, Erica? Answer yes or no.
Is she
I'm
serious?
telling you, I don't even think these people are human. Like, I look at Elon Musk and Sam Altman and Peter Thiel, and I'm pretty sure they're hybrid. You know what I mean? Like, they just look like an Apple software that I should be able to download at night, Like my phone's getting an update or something. It's something in the eyes. Like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I stabbed you if you bleed,
What do you think about that? What is she? Is she serious? Is she serious? Well, how would you be on camera if your spouse was murdered in 4K like that on television, and the most brutal assassination I've ever seen on TV of an American citizen? You'd probably look a little funny on TV too from time to time, right? Especially if you got a bunch of assholes like this continually undermining you, endangering you and your family. You wouldn't look too well on television either. Exactly. Exactly. But what is she talking? What is a hybrid? Yeah, she lost her mind. I think she lost her mind before, but American Pie star Shannon Elizabeth is going on OnlyFans. Now, I think she's going on her OnlyFans about 30 years too late. I mean, if this was right after American Pie, people might be interested, but she's like 50 something years old, so, you know. Yeah, I don't know what Candace Owens is talking about. Now, a hybrid, is that part human, part robot? Watching clips is not watching, right? Big difference. Exactly. I just saw this. I did not. This is interesting. I've never seen this before. I just saw an ad on my X, which I don't know why I get ads, because I thought I had. Let me see. Thought I had the premium. Let me see. Yeah, I've got the premium. I guess you still get ads. I got a blue check mark. This is an ad for Temu for groceries. Now, these are just snack foods, but you can buy Coke and Pepsi, 20 cans of Coke for $1.09, 36 cans of Pepsi for $3.76. Really?
Out there.
I'm not sure about that. Oh, is she talking about, are they human alien or human robot hybrids? I don't know what she's talking about. She's a crazy person. Introductory offers, exactly. Yeah, to hook you in. Let me see. I don't have a Temu account. Let me see. I pulled up the website. Let me see here. Categories. Oh, I don't see groceries or food. Let me look up. I'm on Temu. Let me look up Coke. I gotta. Oh. Okay. I gotta line up the puzzle piece. I hate that. Okay. Let's see here. No, I'm not seeing these. The prices don't look as cheap when I go to the website. They look like the normal grocery store prices to me. Yeah, that does not look like a big savings to me. Looks like some big scam going on there. But I'm definitely, what my lead story is going to be today is Axelrod and Obama violating the Hatch Act and why they're doing this, because I think they're terrified of all these people getting arrested for Obama's coup. That's what I'm going to lead with today.
Because it's a
Let's see here. Here's a guy. He's talking about why gas is high. I have no idea what he's going to say. Let's find out.
Why is gas here so high in America if we have enough oil and gas to supply ourselves? Why do we care so much about the oil coming out of our
That's not how the global oil market or global commodity markets work. There is a global market price. Everybody has to pay that price for the oil because it's a global commodity. That's it. It's traded globally, and the price is fixed based on what the market price is. And right now, with the supply shock in Strait of Hormuz, Iran conflict, whatever, right? It's reduced the supply, so the global market price per barrel is like $100 right now when it used to be like $60, right? And everybody has to pay that price for the oil. When people say that, oh, the US is energy independent because we produce more, right, than we consume, it's true. We can produce more oil than we consume. But that has got nothing to do with what we have to pay for that oil.
Yeah, the global commodities market.
It's just a physical independence, And it's kind of interesting, too, because this country's oil refinery infrastructure is really old. It can only process heavy crude, which is not what we're producing a lot of. So literally what you could see, what we produce in shale oil and all that is light crude. But we don't have refining capacity. So you will literally see ships leaving the US with our oil and then ships coming in with somebody else's oil. Because our refinery infrastructure capacity can only refine that kind of oil for gasoline. That's it's part of the reason why everybody pays the market price. So you think of it this way, right? What can you do about it? Oh, some people will say the government can come in and intervene and you can't export the oil, you have to sell it to your own people. What's that going to do? It's going to ruin the industry. No one will want to extract oil anymore. No one will want to be in the oil business anymore because they can't make the money, right? Like, if you have a lot of gold, would you sell it cheaper because you have a lot of it? God, no, you will sell it to the highest price, which is the market price. These companies are
Exactly.
for-profit companies. It's a whole industry that's there for profits. They're not going to just do the, not sell it to the U.S. only for a cheaper price. That doesn't work. Doesn't make sense. And then you can't ban the exports. It's the same thing. You're intervening in a free market. It's not going to work, right? Your refining capacity, your refining capability is mismatched. These are all the reasons why it's expensive.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. He is right on the money. Oh, here's Stephen Miller again. I love it. You got to love Stephen Miller.
President Trump is a man who doesn't bluff. He is a man who follows through on what he says, who acts in every case with courage, resilience, determination, vision, focus, and direction. He warned Maduro. Maduro did not heed those warnings. And now look what happened. Look at the operation that took place in Venezuela. He warned before Midnight Hammer. Midnight Hammer happened because the Iranians did not heed those warnings. Before Operation Epic Fury, he gave Iran a chance to do the right thing. They declined, and they sustained the greatest battlefield defeat, thrashing, military annihilation we've seen in modern history. Then, after the ceasefire, President Trump said, make a deal. The Iranian terms were not satisfactory, and so President Trump flipped the tables on Iran and implemented this naval blockade. And with this blockade, President Trump is resetting the entire global order, because he is saying, with our Navy, we can decide, and we alone can decide how rogue regimes are able to finance themselves, how they're able to operate. That's the power of American naval might, Sean.
Yeah, I love Stephen Miller. He's one of the best, isn't he? All right, let's see. I'm still going through some articles. Oh yeah, here's Fetterman talking about the Democrats and Hassan Piker.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, my God, you have many of my parties. They're proud to do events with like that Hassan Piker. Now, this is the individual that just recently said that America deserved 9/11, and that they said that Hamas is 1,000% better than Israel.
That's right.
And he doesn't care about the rapes and cause Jews inbred and say these outlandish things. And then like people like the New York Times give these glowing kinds of profile. They don't mention any of that. I mean, he's become such a raging anti-Semite. Even the guy that has a Nazi tattoo bailed on doing an event with him. Democrats have to decide, whose side are you in? Are you proud to stand with that kinds of an individual, or stand with Israel?
Yeah. Yes, Democrats do have brain rot, no question. Okay, here's Bill O'Reilly talking about the Pope. Let's see what he has to say. He was on with Dana Abrams.
So I'm on with Dan Abrams, the chief.
Dan Abrams is a real.
I've known Abrams forever, and I like it.
I'm not a big fan of Dan Abrams. Are you?
Of course, this is the Pope versus Trump.
Boy, Bill O'Reilly's looking and sounding old, isn't he?
The secular people and the non-Catholics, it's a huge story for them. Okay, roll the tape.
We know that the Pope has been critical, right? I get it. And I heard you say on your No Spin News that the Pope is in the peace business. And I said something very similar on this show yesterday. But how does that explain Trump lashing out the way that he did?
Well, he always does. I mean, he doesn't like to be criticized and feels that he has a stronger argument in the public arena. I could mediate this, Abrams. I mean, you send me to Rome, I can mediate this whole thing, because I understand the agendas of both men. And they're not hard to understand, but they're cross-current. There's no common ground. So the Pope is a pacifist.
Right.
That's what he is. And the president is confrontational in protecting the American people and others. So you've got, it's two different jobs. And now they have butted heads because the perception that the United States kind of jumped it too fast. And Pope Leo said, oh, no, we needed more mediation, negotiation. Well, how much is enough, Your Holiness? I mean, we've been going around with these people for a while. And I think that President Trump said enough. We warned him, and now we're going to take the uranium ourselves. That's what it's all about.
No, he's so off point. He doesn't know what's going on. He thinks he does, but he has no idea what's going on. No idea. Okay, here's Abby Phillips on CNN.
As a practicing Catholic, I know that the Vatican doesn't operate in our political paradigm. It's in the divine spiritual realm. So when the Pope sounds like the UN spokesperson saying no confrontation, no conflict, only peacekeeping, only diplomacy, that is totally normal. However, we learned this lesson with Pope Francis, who waded into politics probably more than any other pope before him, at least in terms of our modern politics. You do have to care about precision and exactitude as the successor to Peter, as someone who is informing the opinions of so many lay Catholics. So when you say, as the Pope, and I say this as a practicing Catholic, that God does not hear the prayers of those who wage war, that is a bit precarious and does risk confusing practicing Catholics, because does that mean...
You know, they're over-intellectualizing what's going on here, okay? And what's going on here, hold on, I got to answer an email. This is from the radio station. Okay, hold on. Okay.
The war to fight Hitler in World War II, was that unjustified? The war against the Soviet Union, was that unjustified? I'm just saying that to say that he should be a little bit more precise, that's not like this.
Okay, but before you jump in, Anna, there is actual clarity from
There's Abby Phillips
on this, to your point. And the Bishop James Massa, the Doctrine Committee Chair, so this is straight from the Catholic Church, said,
don't you love how these liberals all of a sudden care what the Catholic Church thinks?
a constant tenet of that 1,000-year tradition is a nation can only legitimately take up the sword in self-defense once all peace efforts have failed. That is, to be a just war, it must be a war of defense against another who actively wages war, which is what the Holy Father actually said. Quote, he does not listen to the prayers of those who wage war. So it continues, when Pope Leo speaks as supreme pastor of the Universal Church, he is not merely offering opinions on theology. He is preaching the gospel and exercising his ministry as the vicar of Christ. So he's basically saying, in fewer words, the Pope is teaching the gospel. He is speaking literally what the just war theory is. And I guess my question to you is, do you think that J.D. Vance knows more about Catholic theology than the Pope?
Well, like, I hear what you're saying about just war theory. That was created by St. Thomas Aquinas and St. Augustine. And what you're saying is that it has to be proportionate to the...
I'm not saying it, just to be clear.
No, that is what just war theory is. But it's also up to lay Catholics, according to the Vatican II Council, Second Vatican Council, to decide what that means for temporal matters. Just because the...
I love how these Democrats and liberals and atheists all of a sudden care about what the Pope thinks and Catholic doctrine.
Pope makes some sort of dictate on political issues. That's not a religious nation.
Exactly, Abby Phillips. She's one of the worst. She really is. She really is. Hey, Sagua. This is my daughter's cat, Sagua. My daughter's still in Los Angeles. She'll be coming home soon. The mayor of Boston hands out $500 haircut and massage vouchers to migrants. Really? Migrants, illegals need massages? I guess they need haircuts to get jobs. Unbelievable, huh? Unbelievable. These people, I tell you. Let's see. I'm still going through doing some last-minute show prep. Oh, here's Savannah Hernandez talking about the attack on her.
This is my job. It's what I've been doing for the last 6 years. And I'm terrified to do my job. I can't even interview people properly on the street because I got brutally assaulted and pushed to the ground by a 250-pound man for simply going and reporting on anti-ICE activities.
Exactly. Exactly. And that guy, he'll be arrested soon because Kash Patel's on the case. Let's see here. Here's Mark Wayne Mullen on this Haitian that murdered a woman at a gas station here in Florida.
Unfortunately, he also killed one of
DHS
employees. And we found out about it immediately. We wanted to make sure it wasn't a targeted event. Doesn't feel like it was a targeted event. But this individual not just had a pattern of criminal activity, but his pattern was every April. Every April, he had escalated his criminal activity. And the Biden administration knew this. Law enforcement knew this, and they decided not to just deport him, but they allowed him to become a citizen, and then he escalated it to the point he did now. So the question is why April? There must have been something in his life that was triggering April that he was acting out, but there was a direct pattern to it, and it led to the death of 3 innocent individuals when we saw that his crime every April had increased over several years.
These individuals never should have been allowed in the country.
They should have never been here to begin with, for sure, but this is...
These are economic migrants.
Yes.
Many of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot, maybe they're escaping jail in their own country for killing people, right? Tennessee has dropped Pride Month, and now June is Nuclear Family Month. Oh, my goodness, that freaks them out. That freaks them out. Just making sure I haven't missed anything. Oh, here's Pete Hegseth.
A running coordination cell, and the top of it read 45 minutes and 45 hours and 56 minutes. For 45 hours and 56 minutes, we held that call open for coordination. From the moment our pilots went down, our mission was unblinking. The call never dropped, the meeting never stopped, the planning never ceased. The president demanded rapid, decisive action. He backed our military with the full weight of his resolve, refusing to let enemy propaganda or tactical setbacks deter us.
Okay, what he's talking about there is the school bombing. We did not bomb a school. Big lie, right? A big lie, but they keep promoting that big lie. So what my lead story is going to be on the next stream where I'm taking live calls, I'm going to lead with this Hatch Act violation of David Axelrod and Obama and why they did this with Pope Leo. And I've got a lot of other things to cover, as you can hear, and I got a lot of things that I'm going to touch on, but that's what my lead story is, because that's what's going on here. And what they're doing is very, very important. Okay, hold on a second here. Here's JD at the Turning Point event talking about the SAVE Act not being passed.
There's no point. No. Because, or let me give you another example, the SAVE Act, okay? A lot of people want the SAVE Act. I want the SAVE Act. I've been fighting for the SAVE Act literally since day one of the administration. And I've seen a lot of people saying, what the hell's the point of voting for these guys if, you've got 3 Republicans joining with the Democrats to prevent the SAVE Act from passing, or I guess 4 Republicans. And here's my response to that. Yes, it is annoying to me that there are only 45 or 46 Republicans who will fight politically to get the SAVE Act passed. But you know what? 10 years ago, that number was 35. So the answer to frustration is engagement. Don't give up on this process. Get more involved in this process.
I agree.
And demand more from people like me. That's how we take our country back. I just think it's important to say that.
Yeah, I think JD's right. I mean, it's frustrating. Pisses you off, I know. Pisses me off. No doubt. No doubt. Just going through some final stories. Okay, here's Candace Owens reacting to JD Vance at the Turning Point event, talking about the threats against Erica Kirk.
I have really flowing, long, blonde hair right now. So I'm going to address it right at the front. Mr. Vice President, I'm on stage here instead of our friend Erica Kirk. That's right. Because unfortunately, she has received some very serious threats in her direction, which is terrible. It's a terrible reflection on the state of reality and the state of the country. But it underscores a larger point that she has received a lot of attacks from some surprising places, perhaps. Tell us what you think about that. Some of the people that have made, part-time jobs out of attacking Erica, and this is the net result.
It's about Candace.
Oh my! Is the implication here that it's our fault? Is it my fault? Why do I feel like they're talking about me?
Because Candace Owens thinks everything's about her. That's why she's a psycho narcissist.
Here that it's our fault? Is it my fault? Why do I feel like they're talking about me? Is that weird?
Because you're a narcissist.
She's not here. And come on, Veep. Come on. Explain to everybody how it's actually Candace Owens' fault because she's being attacked, more broadly speaking. What do I have to do with her going to an event? And by the way, this...
Oh, my goodness. She's talking about herself in the third person. She's calling herself Candace Owens. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. If you're new to my channel, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. And I'm just doing some show prep now. My next stream, I'll be live in the studio and taking your live calls. So make sure you subscribe, click that notification bell, and I'll see you in just a bit on the next stream in studio taking